Hey guys, I'm back to share with you guys my beautiful altered dolly, and I have inserted an image or a couple of images of how she used to look like at the start of the vid. And I had purchased her from the charity store for $2, and she's called a Perriot or Perriot doll, I think. I'm not even sure how you pronounce that Perriot, but I'll put it on the screen here so you guys can pronounce it for me. And she was just pretty much naked. She's a soft body doll, meaning her body is like porcelain doll, you know, where the body's made out of fabric and they're stuffed. And her hand, her feet and her face is made of porcelain or clay. So she is I think like a collector's doll. She's called Hillville Lane. I tried to look her up on the internet to see if I can find what she originally had on, like her clothes, but she was just all naked with, sorry about that, like with just the bare skin on her, like at the start where you guys would have seen her. And I'm not really good at making clothes, so I pretty much just stitch the top of the dress and the sleeves onto her. So I formed them first. I thought about what I was going to make for her, and I made her this beautiful tunic. I used this fleshy pink fabric, and I used this beautiful like not gauze, like a really soft knitting fabric from a skirt, and this soft fabric was from a lady's top, and I have recycled it. Everything's really rough and rugged. Nothing is sewn with the seams on the inside. Everything's sewn with the seam on the outside to give that really old, torn, distressed look. The same with my cushions. I forgot to mention that. Nothing is like sewn to the good side. Everything's on a bad side. That's how I like my things. Just make it nice and simple, and you don't have to hide anything, because, you know, I wanted to achieve that, you know, shabby, sort of torn, tattered look. So that's how I achieved my cushions and this particular dolly. I cut out the fabric, I ruffled it here, and then I softly stitched that onto her. I wanted to make her sleeves really puffy, so I actually cut really wide fabric, gathered it and stitched it onto here, ruffled here, and then sewn it onto her arm. Use some really beautiful tatting lace and just tie a bow there. Same with the other arm also, and that's the back of her. Very, very simple. And before I adhere those, sorry, I used some antique or vintage lace from my stash, and I had just made like a nice collar around her as a base, because she's got that, you know, like that ugly sort of fabric on her. So to cover that part, I had just made like a collar, put around her and stitched it all down. And then I had stitched the tunic on, the sleeves on. And then I went on to making her pants, and these pants are the same concept as my Raggedy Rag doll pants that I have created a toot on. Just cut a big piece of fabric, slid it in half. I stitched up and then down again, and like I mentioned, it's all rough and ragged on the wrong side, as you guys can see there, but I love it. I ruffled the top, and I just slightly stitched it onto one side. I ruffled the bottom of her feet, like did a running stitch and gathered it, the same as on the other side. So like I mentioned, everything's really rough, but it comes out really, really lovely and really nice and simple. And across her, usually these kind of dolls, they're kind of like a clown. They have like a clown dress, and I didn't really like it. I don't really like clowns. They're not very funny at all to me. They're a bit creepy sometimes, because I've seen some of the scary movies with the clowns. So didn't want to give her a clown look that I didn't really like. So, but I want to give her like a whimsical, I don't know, just really lovely characters sort of look. So in vase style, which is these lovely colors that I love. And I ruffled up this beautiful fabric also, and I had just stitched it from the back to the front. And to give her this really lovely effect on the side here, feathery effect, I made these teeny tiny little rosettes. This one here is out of lace, and these are out of muslin. Just formed them with a piece of fabric, and I have a tutorial on those, and I'll try and find it so that you guys can see the tutorial on my rolled roses. I know somebody has asked if I had a tutorial. And yes, I have got a tutorial on my rolled roses, and I'll try and link you guys up. It's in one of my past vids. I just used some tatting or some antique lace, I think, and I just hot glued it down here to give it a little bit of a dangle. Here I've got a little button, another button, but it's kind of like hidden underneath there. I made this little hat for her out of paper, fabric paper. I didn't take the paper off, the fabric off, so that it'll help hold the shape for me also. And guys, I've never made a cone in my whole life, and I had the most difficult time trying to make this cone. So I googled it, and I came up with a tutorial where you cut like a circle into a quarter, but for this cone it was slightly wider than a quarter, if you know what I mean, quarter of a circle. I slightly cut a little bit wider, and I for my shape, and it was too long and pointy, so I chopped the point off, and I ruffled up some the same tulle, and then I just gathered it and formed it into a little bow, and then I just streamed the rest of it down, so it gives it a beautiful soft look. And I layered some lace on top. I sprayed it with a bit of Vintage Photos spray to tone the white down a little bit, but I didn't want it completely dark, so you kind of like tone it down. I put this tea dye lace on top, and I have ruffled some laces, and then just gave it 2 laces, one's a cream one, and one's this flesh colored one. She has I put these 2 layers of this antique lace on top of her to help hold her hat on, because she's made out of porcelain. It's kind of like a slippery sort of base, so I hot glued 2 layers of this lace onto her head, and it was able to help me hold the hat on. And I tied some cotton as well as some lace onto her hat and just wrapped it around her neck just to help hold the hat onto her. And that is pretty much my altered dolly. And on her shoes I just used some really old tatting laces and just kind of like try and blend everything in. Her shoes is all black, but I didn't want to cover it completely, so that it still has a bit of contrast and dimension to her. And that is my altered dolly. And I have some buttons here on her hat. We have Miss Bianca here with me today. Hi Bianca.
Hi.
Okay, so we have some beautiful mother of pearl buttons there, and I just hot glued those onto her. So that's pretty much how she is, and she's absolutely gorgeous, and she's the new addition to my dolly family. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope, you know, pick up some beautiful unique stuff and just alter them the way that you would like to alter them for your craft room and to join the rest of your loving family. Have a good day. Love you guys.